Hey, wanna play a fun game? Got all that? Good. Now remember it. That was a fun game, right?
Well, apparently that basic memory gameplay is fun enough, because in 1978, Simon hit store shelves, and left a bruise too. The original model had 3 game modes and 4 skill levels. The base game was that 4 buttons would light up and play a sound in a sequence, and you would have to repeat the sequence. The sequence would get longer and faster up until you took too much time trying to repeat it, or you failed. But if you were on the 4th skill level, after repeating a 31 signal sequence, Simon would die, or whatever the manual's getting at. The other 2 game modes were really just little changes to suit a multiplayer game, and that was really everything going for this. I mean, I guess it really was that unique because it sold 10 million units, but was it really that unique? The game was actually based off the Atari 1974 arcade game called Touch Me, and it was more or less the same thing, except it sucks. There was a pocket version of it released in 1978, which is basically just the original 1978 Simon game with a different look. Apparently the sounds from the Touch Me game were harsh and grating, but the tones from the Simon buttons were designed to be harmonic, no matter what order they were played in, although the notes differed from each version. And then in 1979, Super Simon was released. This had 8 buttons, a new skill level called Head to Head, a selection for speed was added, there were 5 games in this model, although I couldn't really find out what they were, and there was a decision button added, but I also couldn't figure out what it did. So what was the deal with Super Simon? Why'd you make it?
I really like buttons. It's kind of a problem for other people.
A problem with both of these models were that they were really big. So in 1980, the Pocket Simon was released. It was really just the first Simon game, but smaller and equipped with a little table at the bottom to eat peas off of while you played. Didn't really matter anyway, because in 2006 we got the world's smallest Simon, but I'm jumping ahead here. Not much happened besides this rebrand of the original game in 1997, which opted for a clearer design look, but I don't think it looked as good. It wasn't until 2000 did we get a new Simon game called Simon Squared. On one side, it's just the original Simon game, but when you flip it over, you get 8 little buttons you can take off and eat. It's not optional. On the classic 4-button side, you can play Classic Simon, where it gives you sequences every time you get the right, you blah blah blah, yeah. Then we have Challenge Simon, where you would get one signal, then add another one to the sequence, repeat that sequence, and add another one. I really don't know what the heck you do in this one. Lastly, we have Group Simon, where each player chooses a color button, and when repeating the sequence, each player can only press their color. It's half teamwork and half versus, because the last person playing wins, and colors can get eliminated. Now we flip it over and see the 8-button side. Each game mode only supporting 2 players. First is called Double Simon, where each player gets one side of the thingy and repeats their sequences until one fails and the other wins. Second is Ultimate Simon, where both players get the same sequence, and the first to play the sequence correctly gets a point. If both players do it wrong, no points are scored. First player to 10 points wins. Then we have Extreme Simon, where it's basically just Classic Simon, but each player alternates turns, and Counterattack Simon, where each player adds one extra signal to the sequence. And why did you call it Simon Squared? Do you like math?
There were too many buttons on one side, so I was like, wait, why don't you just put the buttons on the other side? And everyone loved it. They fired my boss because of it. I didn't get promoted or anything.
And that's what's up with the yellow electric frisbee. But do you think you've seen the end of Super Simon? No, because in 2003, Super Simon was released again, but the whole thing was different. It had 6 buttons instead of 8, and was in a hexagon shape. There are 6 game modes, which of course, has the classic game mode. But there's also one where you make the pattern, it repeats it back to you, and you gotta keep repeating the pattern you made without error, while adding an extra signal each time. Then we have multiplayer mode, which is literally just Ultimate Simon from the previous one. Then there's Hidden Signals, which is the exact same thing as Classic Simon, but instead of one color being lit, every color is lit except for the one you need to press. And the 5th game is a mode where you have to figure out what the sequence is 1 minute. Each time you choose the correct color in the sequence, it plays a good sound, but if you choose the wrong one, you have to redo the whole thing and guess the right one. And then the last game mode is just regular Simon, except it adds 2 signals to the sequence each time instead of just 1. And that's it. This one wasn't as creative as the other ones. So in 2006, we got drumsticks. Yellow drumsticks. This one was called Simon Sticks with an X, but instead of pressing a button, you swing a stick in a specific motion, and not too late. Red means tapping one stick, green means tapping the other, yellow means tapping both sticks, and blue means crossing over both sticks at the blue ovals. And there's 4 different beats to choose from. Then there's the Beat Simon game mode, which I think is the exact same thing as the first game mode, except you start at 4 signals. What? Yep,
Yeah,
that's what I meant by tricky. Then there's a freestyle mode. Guess what it does?
I'm winning! I'm winning!
The next year, Simon Tricks was released. This one looks like the regular Simon game, which is one of the game modes it includes. But the other game modes have tricks. Like Simon Bounce, which is regular Simon, except colors can bounce across lenses. I'm not really sure what that means. I mean, I'm just reading off the game's manual because that's the best way to find info about all these Simon games. There's not as much information about them as you think. Then there's Simon Surprise, where each one has the same sound and color, so you have to memorize by location. Whoa, that's a really big twist. Now instead of memorizing color red, I have to memorize a location. But is that really that hard? You could assign numbers to each lens if you wanted, and it would probably make it easier. But I haven't played it, so don't take my word for it. Stupid. And then there's Simon Rewind, where you repeat the sequence in reverse instead, and that's it.
You know what? I'm sick of all this memory gameplay. I want little puzzle cubes I can stack on my palms whenever I get bored playing regular Simon.
We got Simon Flash.
What?
This one was really weird. It was 4 little cubes that connected together and played 4 games. One of them was classic Simon, but the other were more like time-based puzzle mini-games that used the rearranging feature with all the cubes. Like Simon Shuffle, where the cubes flash a color combination, then switch up colors, and you have to put them in the right order. Then Simon Lights Off, where you line up each cube to be in their secret lights off position, and keep doing rounds of that until the game ends after 90 seconds. Last is Simon Secret Color, where you gotta rearrange each cube until they make the same color. Apparently this is the worst one in the series, and the whole Flash thing was a short line. We have Simon Flash, but also Scrabble Flash and Yahtzee Flash, which I've heard are way better. Why did you make Simon Flash?
Okay, so it was a company meeting. I was playing with my little ice cubes like usual. Then J-Year-Old came in, pointed straight at me, said, "Hey, that could be a game." And everyone loved it. He didn't work at the company and he was trespassing, so now he's in jail though, but he's in some of our hearts now.
So after all that, it only makes sense to go back to the basics. But what doesn't make sense is adding a stupid gimmick to the basics. But in 2013, we got Simon Swipe, and I own this one, but I don't know where it is. And also, it might be the least documented one online. All I know is that there were 4 game modes on this one. One was just regular tapping without the sliding gimmick that sometimes didn't work. One was the levels game mode, which was regular Simon with the sliding gimmick, where you would slide your finger across 1 or more lenses. And this game mode is 16 levels. Wowza! But then there's extreme mode, which is harder, and party mode, where you could play with more people.
This is so boring. I swear, if the next Simon model is just regular Simon with some stupid gimmick and 4 game modes you can barely differentiate from, I'm gonna start screaming.
In 2014, we got the Simon Micro Series, which is basically just a re-released Pocket Simon, except there's no table for your P's, no skill level, no game modes, except for the classic one, and a built-in multiplayer passing mode.
But that's okay. I have this one.
But I've basically said everything about this version already. I mean, there's things where you press more than 1 lens at the same time, but I don't know if those are exclusive to this one, and it keeps track of high scores, and you can see what your high score is by holding all 4 buttons at the same time. And the Pass It multiplayer mode has a groovy jingle. But that's really it. It's just kind of a nothing burger, so we really need to step up the game. In 2016, we got Simon Air, which is a regular Simon game, but instead of touching the lens, you hover your hands near them. But don't worry, because they added cool gameplay elements with them too, like swoops, which are basically just swipes from Simon Swipe repurposed for the hovering thing. Then there's double scoops, where yellow and green light up, and you hover one hand near both at the same time, then bring both hands near red. There's also the crossover, which is pretty much the alternate version of a double swoop, where you put one hand on yellow, one on red, and bring them both to green. But then there's 2-player mode, where 2 players alternate each move in the sequence, but there's also some new moves, like the quad, in which both players work together to activate all 4 colors at the same time, and the hold, where one player holds their hands over yellow and red, and the other has to hover their hands over green and then blue, or blue and then green, depending on whatever the sequence was. But then there's single-player classic mode, which doesn't have any moves except for the regular singles. It's supposed to be a practice mode, but I just don't see it having any purpose.
I was able to get so much info on how to play this one because there's an official tutorial on the Hasbro YouTube channel, and for some reason it has a lot of YTP potential.
You hear that sound? It means that the game is about to start. Yes. Now for the games themselves. As you ace the singles, the moves get a little trickier. It's called a double. What? Yeah, that's what I meant by tricky. Now we're on to the double swoop. This is a massive workout for your hands and your brain. Well, not really. And player 2 misses it.
The next game, released in 2017, called Simon Optics, also had a tutorial video, but it wasn't funny. It was more like those instructional videos you see before you play laser tag.
The thing with Simon Optics, it was friggin' crazy.
You're telling me they took this big circle toy, and then almost 40 years later, it became a visor you wore on your head?
This is too futuristic for me. I'm gonna start sweating.
So for this one, you repeated a sequence by waving over the visor with your hands, specific part of the visor. And there were also swoops here too, where you swooped your hand around, and double swoops as well. But here's the big thing, there's wireless multiplayer.
It's literally just a last one standing game mode, and that's all we got. That's the last Simon game, and so now all we got is Max Memory Master from
Shilling. Why'd you make Simon Optics?
I got really, really drunk while watching Tron 2012 and Spy Kids all at the same time. So here's my message to Hasbro. Do you remember the long string of numbers from the beginning? I bet you don't. You don't. I bet you don't. Losers. And also, is Simon Eric inspired from Metal Loops? Because, like, they're, like, really similar. So it, like, has to be, right?
Everybody says that my name is John. So there's John. It's Bob. My name is John. It's Bob. So don't be rude about it. Okay.